Good day, my fellow students. You're welcome to CSC 101 Introduction to Visual Basic. I am your course facilitator, Samuel Fadikwe.
Good day, my students. You are welcome to today's lesson titled Getting Started with Visual Basic Programming. In today's lecture, I'll be taking you through what programming is, the basic tasks involved in programming, how to start your Visual Studio, and also understand the integrated development environment of Visual Studio 2010. At the end of today's lecture, I want to assure you that you have a swell time. I am your course facilitator, Samuel Fadikwe. Thank you.
Now let's look at the objectives of today's lecture. At the end of today's lecture, you should be able to know what programming is. That is the definition of programming. You should understand the basic programming tasks. Then you should be able to start your Visual Basic from the Visual Studio integrated development environment, and also understand the Visual Studio integrated development environment called IDE. Now, what is programming? Programming is the process of developing and implementing various sets of instructions to enable computer perform certain tasks. So we are saying that before a computer can carry out that function you want it to carry out, then there is a process, and that process that you are developing is what the computer will implement, and that is programming. And the instructions are also considered programs. They help the computer to operate smoothly. Now, simply put, programming is giving your computer the direction for completing a task. So what are the basic programming tasks that you need to understand? You should know that every program that you ever write will consist or have one or two of these three basic tasks. And the first one there is the input. That is the data that you input into the computer. Input actually puts data into your computer. Processing. Processing is the actual task to be carried out by an application. Then the output, which is usually the results or the answer. Take for example, you are building an application that computes your GPA, a result processing application. Your input will be your grades, your course code, while the processing is the process that actually computes your result behind the scene to give you your final GPA. But you should note that every program works with data, and that data could be number or text. So before you can use it, then you need to declare those data beforehand. And so it takes us to the next items you need to understand, that is declaration. So declaration tells the computer what type of data you have for your program. So declaration almost, note that word, almost always come at the beginning of a programming task. Now let's look at preparing a bowl of eba as an example of programming. Now to prepare your eba. You can see that my eba is very sumptuous and ready to be devoured. You need to measure the quantity of garri that you are going to use. You need to measure the volume of water you are going to use. So before you go, you already have in mind the quantity of garri, the volume of water. So you have declared that. That is your declaration. So what are your inputs now for preparing a bowl of eba? My input will be the garri powder, water, my stove, my pot. So I place my water in the pot, place it on the stove to boil, heat it up to boil. When it boils, I mix my garri with it by pouring the stir to solidify it, and I come out with my wonderful eba. So almost any problem can be described in terms of declaration, input, processing, and output. Remember, declaration, input, processing, and output in that order. So basic procedures. So every programming task basically falls under these three categories, and the categories are: 1. Sequence. So sequence is the order of command in a program. You start from top, then you go down. Get my garri, get my water, put the water in a pot, place it on the stove. When it boils, bring it down, pour your garri in, then stir to solidify. The second one is selection, and selection procedure enables the computer to make a decision. Take for example, I want to score a goal. I'm playing football. I am in front of the goalkeeper now. I have the option of either hitting the ball directly to score, or go around the keeper to dribble him, or pass to a mate to score the goal. So that is selection. So the third one will be repetition. So repetition procedure allows the computer to repeat the same series of steps a number of times. Repetition. Before my eba will look succulent like the one we saw in the other slide, then I need to stir it continuously. So starting my Visual Studio. So before you go ahead, you should be familiar with the following: 1. Distributable components, projects, and solution. So your distributable components are the final compiled version of a project. Components can be distributed to other people and other computers, and they don't really require Visual Basic 2010 development environment to run. So a project is a collection of files that can be compiled to create a distributable component, and your solution is a collection of projects and files that makes up an application component. In my next video, you will see how to start your Visual Studio 2010 and how to create a new project. In this video, I'm going to take you briefly through the process of starting Visual Studio and to create your first project. To start your Visual Studio, you click the start button, locate the Visual Studio folder. I have Visual Studio 2010 here. Then scroll down to the Visual Studio program. So you can either click here, or if you have the shortcuts on the shortcuts menu, so you have your shortcut icon here, or if you have it on your desktop, simply click on any of the three options and you have your Visual Studio running. Now we have our Visual Studio running. So to create a new project, you come to the start page, which is the default page, and simply go ahead to click on the new project. So from the resulting dialog box, select the project type. So I have Visual Basic. So I want to work on window application. We have other applications there, web, office, cloud, reporting. So I pick Windows application. Then I give my application a name, new week 1 lesson. Get started. So I click OK. So the Visual Studio will start preparing my projects. So as you can see from here, creating projects, week 1 lesson, getting started. Now my project has been created successfully. So I have, in just this few minutes, taught you how to start your Visual Studio and how to create a new project. So in our subsequent video, we'll be going through a more technical development. Now you're welcome back. So we need to now understand the Visual Studio environment. Now looking at the picture I have here, you see that I have various windows on my Visual Studio integrated development environment. Starting from the left hand side, I have my toolbox window, I have my start page, I have form1.vb, which is the form created when I started my new project. Then on the right hand side, I have my property windows. Now my property window is used to view and set properties of objects, and perhaps it is the most important of the windows in the integrated development environment. Down here I have my Solution Explorer, which houses all files and it also manages them. That is, it's managed solutions, projects and files. It provides a complete view of the files in a project, and it enables you to add or remove files and to organize files into folders. That is the work of Solution Explorer. I have Steam Explorer too, which is just a plugin that is installed with Visual Studio. And if you are working with from different platforms with different developers and stakeholders, then you can effectively collaborate using the Team Explorer connected to the team project hosted in Visual Studio Online. So the class view is also there, and that class view and object browser displays icon that represent code entities For example, your namespace, classes, functions, and variables are what you find under the class view. Now, going back to my left side of the screen, I have my toolbar, which houses, or let me say it serves as the container that holds various controls. And when we talk of controls, we are talking of the command button, checkbox, checklist, daytime picker, and every other controls you will use to design your GUI, which is your graphics user interface. Then we also have the server Explorer Windows 2, which manages the server management console for the Visual Studio. In the video, if the window is open, then you see your data connection and log on to servers and explorers. So in a summary, we have taken you to the step-by-step approach that you need, at least as a springboard, to start your programming. Then you have also been taught that programming is simply the act of giving directives to a computer on how to complete a task. Then you have also learned how to start the Visual Studio and explore the integrated development environment. In our next lesson, you will develop a functional application by performing the following. You will build your user interface, you will write code, then you will run your application. Thank you. I'll see you in the next lesson.